What's up, fellas? This is going to be the rowdy portion of my review for the 2013 GSX-R 750. And the way I'm going to be breaking this review down is in 4 sections. It's going to be engine, suspension, braking, and then just the pros and cons for the 4th part, you know, comfort, you know, shit like that. But I'm gonna just remind you guys, I am running the M4 exhaust system, just a slip-on. It doesn't have a baffle in place. It still has the factory header, factory catalytic converter in place. It's just the GP slip-on, no baffle in place. So this is not the way it sounds from the factory. So I'm gonna keep it in 6th gear for as much as possible throughout the video, just so you guys can hear my voice over the exhaust, and so you guys don't get confused and think that this is the way it sounds from the factory, because it's not. Anyways, coming on this back road over here, it's a nice windy road. It's bumpy as heck, not maintained at all. You know, cars turn in and out of it. So I'm not going to be going fast or anything like that. But there is no stoplights here, so that's good. I'll start off with the intake cowl. The intake cowl on this bike is really loud, and that's going to be a love or hate kind of thing for, you know, a lot of people. I personally think it sounds pretty cool. It does get annoying at times, but you know, I deal with it. It's not like I'm going to go trade it in just because it makes that noise or anything. But yeah, just so you guys know, its intake cowl is really loud. If you guys ever get a chance to test drive one or ride one before you make the purchase, I recommend you do so. Next up would be, you know, the 750 itself. If you guys ever ridden a 600 and a 750, you'll notice the big difference. You know, assuming that both gears are somewhat close to each other, you know, not like a 1990 and a 2009 750. You know, if you've ridden both, you'll notice that the low end torque on the 750 is really noticeable, and that's why I chose this bike. It's really practical around town, and you know, it's fun. The horsepower is not that much different, but the torque is you know, it's just available a lot further down the revs than compared to an R6, where you have to really wind it out to get it moving really good. Not saying that they're slow or anything, because you know, super sport bike isn't slow by any means, but it's really noticeable. And I use this bike to commute almost every day, assuming the weather is under 90 degrees, because I go out in full leather, you know, pants, jacket, gloves, boots, and all that. And if it gets really hot sometimes, and I won't leave the house without the gear on, so you know, I don't ride in those days. But other than that, I'm always riding this thing. It's really fun. Beats, you know, driving a car. Any motorcycle will probably be driving a car. So much fun. But most of my commute to work is all city driving, you know, through traffic and whatnot. But the few times I have taken this out on the highway, it's in 6th gear at 5,000 RPMs. It's at 70 miles an hour, and I don't have to downshift. If I do, it's to 5th. Even though I really don't have to, and it blows right through, you know, cars. It'll move right around semis. I don't really like riding next to them or by them, because I understand it's hard for them to see us, and they also take a lot more time to stop. So I try to get away from them as much as possible, and blasting around them is no problem in 6th gear. The 2013 636 that I also have at home, on that one I'll downshift to like 4th or sometimes 3rd, just so I'm really up there, really high up there in the revs, and you know, move around. Both are fun bikes, you know, they're fast, but just something really noticeable on the 750. You know, the power difference is huge. You know, despite it being on paper, it's not that much different, but real world riding, it's huge. This road is really bumpy around these 2 corners, over that corner and one more over here. again, the bike's always been reliable. The engine, I take it out sometimes when it's 40 degrees outside, and it always fires right up, and after it's fired up, it idles perfectly. Never had any problems with it. Man, this road is bumpy. But you know, in city driving, I have 3,000 miles on it. I'd say 2,800 are strictly city, and the reason I say that is because you know, it reaches 215 degrees throughout various times of the day, you know, sitting at the stoplight. And you know, some motorcycles, they act up when they get really hot. I've never noticed that with this problem, or with this, I never had that problem with this motorcycle. It's always been reliable, nothing unexpected. The maintenance, you know, clean and lube the chain and adjust it as necessary, do the regular oil changes, and it's been solid. Not once let me down. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for the engine. That's all I could think of at the moment. Next up, I'll do suspension. I'm not sure what rear shock it comes with. Oh, sorry, one more thing about the engine. When I bought this bike brand new, 0 miles from the dealership, and one thing I did notice, again, I forgot to mention it in the beginning of the video, but the 1-to-2 shifting and the 2-to-1 downshift, it didn't feel good at all on this motorcycle. Sometimes throughout the other gears, but even if after it was warmed up, it felt really clunky. Like it was hard to get into the, you know, second gear, back down to first gear. But that I think was because of the oil that it came with, and I'll say why in a minute. I'm not sure if Suzuki uses a conventional or semi-synthetic, or maybe even full synthetic from the factory. But the first up to the 600 mile service, I kept whatever oil they put in it in the motorcycle, and then for the 600 mile service, I didn't take it back to the dealership. I took it to a motorcycle performance shop, and the guy recommended that I run conventional motor oil again. So I'm assuming, well, if he knew what he was talking about, then it'd be safe to assume that they use conventional from the factory. Look, again, that's just going off of what he said. He said use conventional motor oil again, and then switch to synthetic on your second oil change. Well, he put the Valvoline conventional motor oil in the bike, and after like 600 miles, man, it just felt even worse. It felt a lot shittier. So I was like, screw this. You know, I've tested AMSOIL before, and that's good stuff. So I ordered some of that online, and I did the oil change myself with like 1,200 miles on the bike. And man, what a difference. Just that oil change, and boom, it felt a lot smoother. You know, if you shift it perfectly, you don't even notice the shifts. I couldn't do that with the Valvoline and Suzuki's motor oil, but I did it with the AMSOIL. I'm not saying, you know, go buy AMSOIL or anything like that. You know, if you have that problem with this bike, or any bike for that matter, you guys could try switching to a full synthetic, or, you know, a good quality full synthetic. There's many brands out there. It might help you guys out. Anyways, back to the suspension. So I'm not sure what rear shock, like I said, I don't know what rear shock came with the motorcycle, but I do know the front forks are a Showa big piston front forks. Showa big piston front forks, and I've you know, when you first ride the motorcycle, like, oh man, this thing feels awesome, it rides really smooth. Again, I haven't done any track time on this bike, but for street riding, I was really happy with it. Like, man, this is perfect, this feels good. Then I took it to the shop again, the performance shop, and they asked me, you know, if it was street or track riding, what I mostly use the bike for. I'm like, oh, just commuting, and they asked me for the weight. You know, I weigh 170 pounds. They tweaked it a little bit, and man, I didn't think you could notice that much difference. You know, they only charged me 50 bucks, and I was like, look at 50, 40 or 50 bucks for doing that. But man, it's so much more comfortable now. I honestly didn't think it'd make that much of a difference on street riding, that is. Maybe out for the track, but on street riding I didn't think it'd make that much difference, but man, it did. So that's something I'd recommend to fellow riders. If you guys get this, have your suspension tuned if possible. It's 95 degrees out right now. Man, is it hot in this. I got the Alpinestars GP Tech Air leather jacket. You know, it vents really well, but 95 degrees is 95 degrees and it gets hot. And for the gloves, they're the GP Pro gloves. Which are good as well, but nah, I didn't want a mesh one. I had Icon mesh ones, but you know, that ain't gonna do shit for in terms of me going down or anything. I mean, that guy's in a rush. But yeah, 95 degrees is pretty damn hot. Anyway, getting too sidetracked. Suspension. It does have a KYB electronic steering stabilizer, and the most I picked this bike up to is 133 miles an hour down Interstate 15 going south towards Mexico. Those of you guys in Southern California, you guys know that there's some really wide open stretches of highway there, and it's really well paved. You know, so I decided to gun it one afternoon. Got up to 133. I still had more to go, obviously, but you know, that was it for me. No speed wobbles. It felt really stable and planted. Had no problems whatsoever going that fast. I don't know what that fucking guy's deal is, man. It's like he's trying to race me or something. Whatever it is, let them be. A lot of crazy drivers outside anyways. Let's see if he takes off quick again. Maybe he's just in a really big rush to go home or something. But this bike is really flickable and nimble. Sorry, got a little sidetracked again. It's a really flickable and nimble bike. It feels, you know, light on its wheels and all. It's not, it doesn't feel heavy. Yeah, this guy's in a rush. Wow, 70 miles an hour and that guy still pulls. Speed limit here is, I think, like 45. But I've taken this once through a canyon. I was happy with it. This was back before I had the forks adjusted or tuned. But it felt, it's really nimble again. You know, it dives right into the corners, no problem. The transitions are really easy and comfortable. Wow, that's like 8 cars that took a red light. Fucking hate traffic. Sorry guys, I gotta watch out for traffic here. Yeah, I think that was it for suspension. Getting a little too sidetracked. But let's see, brakes was up next. It has a 2-piston monoblock Brembo calipers up front and a single piston Nissan caliper in the rear. You know, the rear single piston Nissan, I don't know what there is to say about it. It works. You know, everyone knows most of the stopping power is in the front. So I'm gonna just leave the rear caliper as is. You know, it works, gets the job done. So moving on to the front caliper. And you know, when you think of Brembo, you're thinking, oh man, that's top of the line. I think I got air in my lines or something, man, because that's not the case with this bike. The 2013 Kawasaki 636, I have that at the house. And it comes with a Nissan brake calipers up front. I think for the rear too, but I'm not too sure on that one. But the fronts are Nissan, and that bike feels like it it brakes better than this one. So again, I think that's because I got air in the lines or some shit. But I think with 200 bucks, you know, stainless steel lines and, you know, new brake fluid, and you'd be all set. Heck, maybe even just a brake flush. But yeah, I'm not too happy with the performance on these. And this is the only bike I've ridden, you know, this with these brake calipers, of this, you know, this model and whatnot. So maybe the other 750s are pretty good. This one doesn't feel too good. But another thing I noticed, is it's not really consistent. I don't know if it's the weather change or, you know, the heat I put it through. But sometimes it brakes rather well, and other times it's just you know, it feels like it lags more than it needs to. Like if it's slowing my stopping distance, I don't know what it is, but that's what I've noticed it on my commutes to work. Sometimes it feels better than others. But yeah, that's it for brakes for the most part. You know, they're good though. It's enough to stop and everything. Stop quick if need be. They're not extremely bad, but again, I think it's just this motorcycle. But whatever. Moving along to the comfort and the pros and cons of this bike. Comfort on this bike, oh, but that's the reason I bought it. I was looking at this along with the other Japanese super sport bikes, and also the Ducati 848 Evo. I think that's a really beautiful looking bike, but for commuting, I mean, the rear seat on it, or the seat itself, it's like a cardboard box, you know, just wrapped in some cloth. It's like nothing there. And then the exhaust runs, you know, under the tail. So I'm assuming, you know, it'll get pretty hot. I'm like, oh man, I'd have to pass on that. And then it has a really aggressive riding position. So that's why I skipped that one. But the reason I chose this over the other ones was, one, because it, you know, Suzuki makes a 750 for a middleweight, I should say. But it's really comfortable. That was the main reason I picked this over the other Japanese sport bikes and the Ducati that I was considering. It's just really comfortable. I mean, the seat on this one is rather thick, so, you know, your ass feels good. You know, it's nice and cushy. And then it's a really low riding position. Really low riding position. I'm 5'9", and at the stoplights I'm able to get flat. I'm able to put both my feet down, you know, flat foot on both my feet. I can't do that with all sport bikes. Again, 5'9", 5'9.5", somewhere around there. But that was another important thing I liked about it. Low seat height, really comfortable. You know, doesn't really have an aggressive riding style. Those were my favorite things on it. You know, the side mirrors, I'll mention those. Alpine Stars GP Tech Air Jacket. That's most. I see the elbows. I have to kind of move my arms around. I know you don't have to do that with all motorcycles, you know, but this one, the side mirrors are just, you see your elbows a lot. I'm not sure, you know, some people might complain about that. I don't really care though. Then the windscreen, you know, for city riding, it does its job. If you do a lot of highway riding, you might want to get something bigger, but for city riding, it does its job. And then also, another thing I'll mention is the clutch lever on this isn't adjustable. Isn't adjustable. The brake lever is. Again, that might be a problem for some. They're only like 70 bucks. I replaced mine. Mine was 75. And I have no problem with it, you know, not being adjustable. I haven't replaced the front brake lever yet. I'm gonna go with the Brembo Master Cylinder, but yeah, it's an all-around awesome bike. And the only things I can complain about is I really can't complain at anything on it, but let me rephrase that. The things I think some people would complain about would be the tires, because they're Bridgestone BT016s. Those of you guys that ride aggressive will know those tires don't really stick for shit. But for commuting, you know, I don't care. They're fine. You know, it's all city driving for me. Another thing would have been the mirrors. You know, some people want, you know, a little bigger mirror, something that's a little more useful. The clutch lever would be something that you guys could, you know, maybe not like. That's all around. And the styling. Styling, you know what you're getting yourself into if you buy this. Styling. But yeah, those are the only things that I could say, you know, people might complain about. Other than that, man, I love this bike. I mean, I'm happy with my purchase, and the price I paid for it was 13 grand out the door with everything. I didn't get the extended warranty or gap insurance, but 13 grand out the door with everything. I'm happy with the price I paid, with the purchase I made. You know, I can't complain about anything on this bike. It's a bike I recommend. You know, if you're short, you definitely want to look at Suzuki's. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Sums it up for my video. I'm gonna do a quick little pull on right here, just so you guys can see what I was talking about, how I don't have to downshift. The speed limit here is, I think, 75. But yeah, that's the only reason I hopped on the freeway, was to show you guys this quick pull. Just make sure there's no cops. I can't afford another speeding ticket. Alright, here we go. Here, I'll do it from 80, just to not hold guys back. Go that fast, but the power is just there. You don't need a downshift. I'll downshift to 4th just so you guys see how much harder it pulls. But yeah, guys, it's a wrap for me. Let me know what you guys think. It's a bike I highly recommend. It's really fun. Really reliable. Never had any problems with it. I have had to take the 2013 Kawasaki 636 back to the dealership. I think that was just a lemon though that I got. But yeah, that sums it up for me, guys. Ride safe and watch out for other drivers. There's a lot of reckless fucks out here, especially in my neck of the woods. But anyways, I'm out, guys. Take care.